In the spring of 2003, I booked myself on a bunch of alt comedy shows in New York. And I flew there and did a week's worth of shows. And it was great. I had a great time. And the last night I was in New York, I went to do a show that was run by a couple friends of mine in a little club opposite the Comedy Cellar in Greenwich Village. And there's an old saw about how a prophet is without honor in his own land, you know? And I think it's true. Because I fucking killed in New York. I haven't gotten a laugh yet here. And after the show, there were these two beautiful girls in the crowd who came up and introduced themselves to me. And they were sisters, Cindy and Susan. And Cindy was quite conservative. I think she worked for a bank. She was wearing a long dress and her hair was pulled back tightly and no makeup. And Susan was not. Susan got to New York and the brakes came off. She was wearing a little mini skirt and tights and one of those tiny backpacks all the girls were wearing for a while, and bright red lipstick and beautiful hair. And I don't know a lot about women, but I really caught a vibe from both of them. And if I'm honest with myself, I feel pretty sure that if Cindy hadn't been interested in me, Susan wouldn't have been. I think there was some competition or something happening there, but it worked in my favor. I ended up spending the rest of the evening with Susan. We went to a dance club and then to a party some friends of mine had, and then I took her back to her apartment and she invited me in and we made out for like 2 hours. And it was great. There's a phrase, I was punching above my weight, if you'll forgive me. She was just beautiful. And then about 2 hours in, she said something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. She said, kind of playfully, I don't know whether I want to be a slut or not. And everybody who just laughed is smarter than I am. But I'm stupid and well-trained. And I said, I don't want you to do anything you don't want to do. And I kissed her goodnight, and I left. And I knew as soon as I was on the other side of that door that I had made some kind of mistake. But I didn't care. At that point in my life, I hadn't had sex or kissed a girl in 5 years. And the idea that I would spend this magic spring evening in New York kissing this beautiful, sophisticated New York woman, it was like a dream. And I went home with just real wonder in my head. And I came home to LA and I told that story to a friend of mine who knows a little bit more about women than I do. And he called me an idiot. And then he told me that she wanted to have sex with me and that she just wanted to hear me say I wanted it. And at that point, I became almost physically ill. At the thought that I had blown this opportunity that had quite literally landed in my lap. And I stopped eating. I lost 30 pounds in 5 weeks. I listened to Jeff Buckley's Hallelujah over and over and over again. I can still recognize it from that first note. But I made my peace with it. And then in the fall, I went back to New York and did some more shows. And the last night I was in New York, I decided to treat myself to a real fucking comedy show, and I went and saw Dave Attell at Caroline's. And my friend who ran the show in Greenwich Village was middling. And so I went back to the green room to say hi, and Susan was there. And she didn't look all that thrilled to see me. But we all went out for drinks, and a couple of Jack and Cokes later, she remembered what it was she liked about me. And we went back to her apartment. And this time I wasn't stupid. It's such a gift, that moment. She was standing, light coming in from the window, Her dress was on the floor. She was so beautiful. It was such a gift. The next morning, she put on some Bill Withers, and I got dressed. And I went to the airport. And we emailed back and forth a little bit, but it kind of petered out by Christmas. And I figured out what she had liked so much about me was that I was leaving. And that's okay. I've been thinking about that story a lot lately. A lot. Because I just lost 170 pounds. And about 4 weeks ago, I had sex for the first time in 4 years. And fuck me. Thanks very much.
Andrew, everybody. Andrew.